Good morning, my beloved. Kalimera sa sagapitimu. We are going to be having an opportunity at the end of I'm going to make a little presentation, and then again for questions. I've been asked to do this periodically. We lovingly and laughingly call it Stump the Priest. In other words, you're going to be, if you want, whoever has any questions regarding religion or spirituality, etc., that type of thing, you ask the question and we'll see where we go with this. We'll do that for a few minutes, but first I'd like to say a couple of things. One, today is one of the most important days for one of the most important of all of our saints ever, and that is St. John the Baptist. He is always celebrated the day after Epiphany, and for good reason, because it was John who was chosen by God to come into this world to prepare the world for the coming of the Lord Jesus, and it was John who was chosen to baptize him. And this is what we're celebrating and who we're celebrating on this day. He is considered the last of the prophets. Prophets from the time of Abraham, when God and Abraham made an agreement that God was to be their only God, with the people of whom Abraham is the father. They made an agreement that as long as Abraham and his seed followed God, that God would continue to take care of them, to pray for them, to protect them, etc. As we know, as we said many times and discussed many times past, all human beings have a very short memory. And Abraham's did not forget God, but his seed did. And so God sent people back into the world to remind them, to remind the people of Israel that they have an agreement with God, because God never left them. In spite of their turning their backs on Him, God continued to be with them. They botched it up a number of times. They were sold into slavery a few times. They were visited by great calamities a number of times. Not because God did this to them. They did it to themselves, because they opened up their avenues, they opened up their hearts to things that were not of God. So this is another story that's going to come back in a few minutes. It'll fit right into what we're saying. So God sent prophets, many of whom, 16 of whom we see up here in the dome. From Moses to David to Solomon to Jeremiah to Isaiah and they were sent here not to foretell the future. That's a misnomer for the classic Greek meaning of the word prophetis. A prophetis, which is another Greek word, go figure. Everything comes from the Greeks. You don't believe it? Ask a Greek, right? So the idea is the prophetis is someone who speaks for someone. That's what the word prophetis means, and that's what these people did. They reminded the people of Israel and anyone else who would listen to them that there was a promise, a commitment, a contract made between God and Abraham and his seed. Okay, so these people came along, and the last one was John. And that's who we're celebrating today. And this is why he is considered with such reverence and such honor, because he was the last prophet to come before Christ. And you heard in the gospel lesson this morning, these were the last words he said right before he baptized Christ. Behold, he is the Son of God. By the way, he always is seen somewhere when there are other saints around. He typically is right next to Christ, because he was the immediate forerunner, F-O-R-E, forerunner of Christ. So here he is depicted in every iconostasio. John will always be next to Christ. Many times you will see him depicted with wings, and this is another question that is often raised. Why is John the prophet often shown with wings? Because this is the way the iconographers would show a messenger. Okay, when we're saying angels, by the way, the angels of the doors, the north gate and the south gate, these are called also deacon's doors because they're used by the altar servers and by the deacon whenever they come in and out of the altar. So the doors are guarded by the archangels. They have wings to show that they're messengers. Another Greek word, angelos, means literally messenger. So Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Michael over here are messengers of God. And why John is often depicted with wings, because he is a messenger of God. So that's some little background things about John and the special individual he is. And I know that there are a number of we who have Johns in our family, and we are very blessed. There are a number of little sayings that have to do with, because that it's not as popular today. There are many families that have Johns because that was a very, very popular name. Of course, now it's Dimitri and George, and some Nicks, and a few others too, okay. But especially in the olden times, John, and there can be no house with any kind of future without a John in it. That was one of the old sayings. A lot of things. I'm partial to the name. That was my father's name and my son's name. So this is again a special time for me in this regard. So we're saying this. There is something going on. There is something that is happening. There is something that is taking place in front of us, and we may not be aware of it. The most precious thing that we have on this earth is our children. That's what we say. The most precious possession, the most precious resource that we have on this earth is our children. And we should go to great effort to care for them, to guide them, to protect them, to nurture them. If we don't, shame on us. But I think, and I really do believe this, I don't think that there are purposely bad parents. I cannot believe that. I cannot believe that. We parents can make mistakes. Yes, I do believe that because my children remind me of that every day. I've made mistakes along the way. But there is a God, and there is a sweet part of God. It's called revenge, because now their children are reminding them of the mistakes that they make. There is a cycle of life. There is a cycle. All right, but what I wanted to get to today, to touch, one of the most dangerous, one of the most quickly encroaching problems facing your and my children today alcohol, yes. Drugs, yes. But there's another one that has really very quickly stepped into our society, and we don't realize it. Excuse me. We're realizing it, we're seeing it, we're hearing it, but we're not appreciating what is taking place. One of the fastest growing problems for young people, ages especially from 17 to 24. And it has invaded younger ages, and for sure it has invaded older ages. But the 17-24 is what most of the surveys have been concentrating on. Gambling. What? Are you serious? Come on, what are you on? Am I on something right now? Would I come up with this stuff? Look around you. Not only look around you, but delve into some of these readings periodically. When we're on the internet looking at God knows what, get in there and try to find out some things that are going on in our world, with our children, with gambling. Did you know that it is for ages, certain ages, 2 out of 3 children have in some way, shape, manner, or form been involved with some form of gambling? I'm talking about our children. We're not talking about us, my children, who are in their 40s now. This is talking about a situation that is going on in and around us as we speak. It used to be less a problem, but this is going to come out, I'm sure, misunderstood, maybe from what I'm intending it to be, but I want it to be strong. Money is our God. We know that. Money is our God. We jokingly say sometimes that there is a St. George, but he has a last name. It's Washington, and it's on a dollar bill. St. George Washington is who we worship. So because we worship St. George Washington, we need to realize that every and anything around us is also working on the same idea. Where are we going with this? It used to be illegal to gamble. So, gambling has been around since, I guess, it may be the second oldest profession in the world. So the whole idea here is there has to be money, because that is a means of control. 37 states in our 50 have opened their laws to gambling. So far, South Carolina is not one of those. But we have it to the north of us, we have it to the west of us, we have it to the south of us. So you think that this is not going to happen very quickly? Why? Why is this taking place? Come on, I just told you. Why? What? Money. Got it. Money. It is $100 billion recorded, $100 billion a year enterprise in the United States. That's what we can count. We're not including the under the table. We're not including the ones that are going on secretly, the ones that are going on behind the desks or behind the doors, etc. $100 billion. Our states are saying, well, why fight it? Let's just join it. And that's what they've done. What they have done is they've opened their doors. You don't know, you think, where am I coming up with this stuff? Have you ever bothered looking at those commercials on your TV? Have you ever bothered looking at those sports bet commercials on your TV? Have you ever bothered seeing who they're geared towards, who they're looking at? You ever bothered looking around? Do you have your kids, your grandkids with you when all of this stuff is going on? $13.2 billion are at right now, last year, are going to our states from gambling. Our children. By the way, well, this is a good thing, though. You know, people are doing it, might as well drop into it. Here's where even our state has come into the lottery. Education. How many times have you gone to the grocery store too, the convenience store, gas station, and you're standing in line for what? Not to pay gas, it's to get the lottery tickets. More often than not, the irony here is that it is hurting, it is hitting, it is affecting the people who can afford it least. And that's, please, I'm not being judgmental. I'm saying this is what's happening to us. When you're going in and you're seeing someone who is not necessarily rolling or seemingly rolling in a lot of money, It's that person that's giving out the $5, the $50, the $20, the $30 bill to pick up that lottery ticket. Why? Because it appeals to the base inner part of us human beings. I can get something for nothing. All I have to do, I can invest. I'll invest $1. I'll invest $5. No big deal. I'll get 25, 50, 100 back. Come on, if you're seeing what the television is showing you, those commercials, we'll give you $200 if you invest $100. Just so I can grab you. And it works we have physicians who know about this stuff a lot better than I do. But it also impacts, just like drugs, psychotropic drugs affect this, so too does an action like this. It affects, it brings a feeling of euphoria starting from here. And it brings it and it catches us and we get used to it and we want to go into it and a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. The whole process here takes place and hits us before we ever realize it. With due respect to you gentlemen, to us males. In my family, we have a girl and 3 boys. And my wife will be one to tell you, those of you who have reared males, boys in your family, know that she's not too far off on this. Her opinion is that a male, the boys, should not even enter the 1st grade until he's 14 years old. We have 3. Sorry, guys. The whole idea is, it's a fact, physiological fact, that the male brain does not fully develop, does not fully form until it's around age 26, 27 years old. So we're asking our young people, and especially our young men, to start using this when they're not really ready to get to that point. You say they're voting. So? They're driving. So? This is the point. We're asking them, we're throwing all of this stuff at them when they're not really fully, totally, absolutely able to assess, process, and make smart decisions. I'm not picking on the males. I'm one of those. So the whole idea is, let's be careful. When this stuff comes on, have we ever had an opportunity for a discussion with our male children and our females? We're not excluding the girls. But especially, for some reason, it seems to be that we males are the ones that are falling into this more than the others. I'm just hitting a very, very top part of a huge iceberg here. Am I saying this to panic you? I'm not trying to panic you. I'm trying to make you aware. I'm trying to get you awake. And this stinking telephone that I hope we parents have a handle on, especially for the younger of our children. How often do we stop and see what app is on there? You don't know what app is on your child's phone unless you've made an effort, an unscheduled effort to see what she has. Am I saying that to wake you up? Darn right I am. Well, gambling. We've done it. They were gambling at the feet of Christ. They were gambling, they were throwing lots to get his robes. Remember? We hear that. This is going on. So how are we going to stop it? Well, I don't think we can totally stop it, not on this earth probably, because we have what's called free will. And God gave us free will to use it to come close to Him, but we can use free will to use it to get away from Him too. And that's what many times we do. That's the human nature, the human mind. That's just the way we are. We inherited this, all of us, from Adam and Eve. They had that trait, they had that gene, and we had it. And we're continuing it. Here we go. Well, since that be the case, what are we supposed to do? Shut down everything and not do anything? You know, if I leave my house in the morning, it's a gamble. I leave my house, get in my car, get to come here to my office. I don't know what's going to happen from the time I leave my house to the time I get here. Have you been driving the streets lately? Not just lately. It's a gamble. Anybody can come from this side, that side. We in South Carolina also have a good reputation of running red lights. Now, I'm not saying this tongue-in-cheek. I'm saying that sincerely. We're and speeding, terrible, terrible. I won't tell you about my 27 tickets. Truth. The fact is that we can do something in a very positive way. We can learn. We can interact. We can talk to our children and talk to each other. And we can try to encourage each other. Now, you want to gamble? Go into it knowing what you're doing. Don't go into it thinking, well, I've got a budget, I've got a mortgage, I've got children I've got to put through school, I've got to clothe, bathe, feed, etc., etc. If you can still do it after that, and you know that you're going to do it because you want to do it because of entertainment, or for the good. Hey, the schools are going to get this. And I'm doing this because I want my schools to be better schools. Why don't I just give them the money? Why do I have to tell them that so you give me $50, I'll give you $150 back? Maybe. We are very careless because we are not allowing the children to see that there are consequences for decisions that are being made. I'm not a terrible person. I'm not a terrible papu. I hope I'm not a terrible dad. On a given day, you'll have to ask my children, and I probably would qualify for each of those negative categories. But they have to somewhere, somehow, learn that there is a consequence. But there is something also called forethought, F-O-R-E, thinking ahead. And this is where we are. If I get in my car to come here to my office, I've got to come here, I've got to work. So, I come here. Does that mean I should stay home if I don't want to get slammed by somebody between Arundel Drive and 406 North Academy Street? I try to be careful. I do. I'm looking around. I don't take off immediately when there's a red light. I try to wait and let the red light runners go first. I tried, especially on Wade Hampton, I try to be somewhat careful of the speed limit. In other words, I'm being careful. I'm trying to open my eyes of what's going on around me. There is no free lunch. I need to realize that. I think when I'm doing something, I'm making a bet, I think that, oh, I can get something for nothing. I guarantee you, the house, that means the person who is presenting the gambling, the house, has the odds favored in his side. In other words, if I go to a casino to gamble, are they opening their gates and promising me all these monies and gifts, etc., that I'm going to win because they're good people and they just want me to have all of this money? Okay, I have beach property in Greenville. I'm ready to sell somebody right here, right now, cheap. There is no free lunch. When I go to one of your restaurants and you treat me to a dinner, free lunch? Somebody's paying for that. You're paying for it, and I thank you for that. But don't let that be the way that I'm thinking here. There is no free lunch. Somebody pays. So the whole idea is, my beloved, please, and I went way over and I'm sorry, but this is really very important. Please be careful. Please talk to your children. Please just discuss a little bit with them. See where they're going, what their thoughts are on this. The other thing, we talk about investments, which is a gamble. We're investing in our children. So we want to gamble, we're investing in those, our loved ones, those people around us, our family. Okay, I know. Many years ago, this then young man said something to me. I never forgot it, and he was right on, as he always is. We were talking about something about life and the scary part of life, and saying, well, gee, you know, if I come out of my house going to my car, an airplane could fall out of the sky and hit me. You're absolutely right. Crazy things are going on in our world, have gone on and are continually going on. An airplane could fall out of the sky and come and hit me as I'm walking to my car to come to work. I can be careful, but I do not, as my friend Steve told me, I do not have to build my house on the airport runway. Got it? That's called stacking the deck. That's called what our friends in the gambling society, that's how they're making their money. And I'm falling prey to that. If you've heard me today, thank you. If you've written me off, that's fine too. My conscience is a little bit clearer because I'm doing something to let you know what's going on in your home. And from there on, may God give us the strength, the courage, may God give us the maturity to work with these things that are snipping at us underneath when we least know it and we least expect it. May God give us courage and strength. Amen.